Hi guys, it's Miss Sarah from the West Bank Club, and I'm interviewing Kat Landrum from Second Story Creative to talk about her career. So first up, Kat, or I'm going to call you Miss Kat in this video. What is your career, and can you briefly explain what you do?
Sure. So I am a graphic designer and photographer and entrepreneur. And what I do is I create imagery for businesses to market themselves. So what that means for graphic design is I create things like logos, advertisements you might see in a magazine or on a billboard, packaging designs, websites. For photography, what that means is I take photos to represent a business. So I might take photos of a product that a business is selling. I might take photos to represent the business. We call those lifestyle shots. I might take photos of an event that the business is hosting, things like that. And I do all of this under a business that I created about 3.5 years ago called Second Story Creative.
All right, awesome. So could you tell me a little bit about your favorite subjects in school? So elementary, middle, high school, that age group.
Yeah. So growing up, obviously, I loved art classes, but I also really liked literature and history, and I feel like that's really come into play for what I do now.
Awesome. So what kind of school did you go to or complete to do what you're doing now?
So after high school, after I graduated high school, I went to Mississippi State University and I studied graphic design. Well, I got a BFA in fine arts with an emphasis in graphic design. And yeah, so that was pretty much my education experience, and then I got a career right after that.
Okay. Let me start back over, sorry. How does what you studied in school apply or not apply to what you're doing now?
So one thing that my school did that I think is really important and has really helped me a lot is we were required to take a lot of fine arts classes in addition to graphic design classes. So I had to take things like art history, I had to take painting and sculpture and ceramics and drawing and things like that, in addition to learning how to create using a computer. So I think this was good for me because a lot of graphic designers nowadays just focus on the technical end of it, and they kind of miss out on the artistic side. So I think learning art, learning what makes design a good design, has really come into play and benefited me a lot and kind of set me aside in my career.
So what's something that you wish you had learned at school that would help you out now? I mean, it sounds like you've got a really good art basis, but being an entrepreneur, what are things that you could have taken?
Exactly. So when I went through school, I had no idea that I was going to be starting a business. So you know, I didn't really focus on that part of my education, but yeah, so I've had to kind of go back and learn things that I wish I had done in school, like learn financing, learn things like how to manage money, so accounting, things like that, basically just overall business management. Those classes would have really benefited me had I known at the time that I would need them.
I think with any kid that thinks about maybe doing skills like art or anything that they could turn into a business kind of standing on their own, I think it would be fun to take business classes, and especially personal accounting is something nobody really takes anymore. Super important.
Yes, and I did end up going back before I started my business and taking business classes. So I learned what I was doing before I did it.
That's also pretty important. So when did you start doing, I know that you said it was about 3.5 years ago that you started your own business, but when did you start working as a graphic designer and photographer?
So I went into graphic design pretty immediately after school. I actually graduated right when Hurricane Katrina hit, so it was kind of a bad time to find a job around here. So it took me almost a year before I could get a real job in graphic design, but eventually I did. So that was in 2006, and then I started working at advertising agencies, but always doing photography as a hobby. And so when when I was working at a TV station here, local TV station, Channel 26, they needed me to do a lot of photography kind of in addition to what I was doing. And so it just kind of gradually eased its way into my career. And then, like I said, I started my business about 3.5 years ago. And when I realized that that's kind of the direction things are going in now in the business world, more companies are going with, you know, smaller businesses and freelancers than they are larger agencies. So as I continue to do more and more freelance work, I realized that I can make a career out of this. So I did.
Yeah. So kind of focusing, I guess you might have just answered this, but in terms of your career as like a graphic designer, what was the most unexpected part? Was it kind of seeing that change from agencies to smaller freelance kind of work?
Yeah.
Or...
Yeah, I think so. I think it was, like I said, I never expected to start a business, and so when I did, it was definitely it was a learning experience for me, and so there was that, and then I think also just how fast everything changes. And I think this goes for pretty much any industry that works with technology. You know, a lot of the software, a lot of the skills that I learned in college are kind of obsolete right now, like they no longer apply. And so you really kind of have to learn how to learn. So you have to constantly be learning new software, new computer programs as things change and evolve. So, you know, granted, that's where I'm really grateful, a lot of the artistic skills that I developed in school have carried over, because a lot of the programs that I've used have not.
I mean, I remember stuff like MySpace, not around anymore. So in terms of like social media, things constantly change.
Exactly. Things like that. Yes.
What would you say is the hardest part of your career? Maybe it is kind of constantly learning, or would you say it's something else?
I mean, that is a tough part of it. I think really, like with being an artist, it's a really competitive industry. And so there's a lot of really just kind of trying to stay ahead of the curve, and especially like in a place like New Orleans, where there are a lot of small businesses that reach out to people like me for design work. There's a lot of people that do what I do. So it's competitive, but in a way that keeps me motivated. So it's not a bad thing.
What would you say the best part of what you do is?
I think just the most rewarding part is seeing your work actually, you know, come through and be put to use. And so especially like helping a business build its brand from the ground up is really exciting. And then there's just something really cool about, you know, driving down I-10 and seeing a billboard that you designed, or turning on the TV and seeing like an ad that you helped with. So yeah, things like that. It's really rewarding.
That does sound fun to see, like in big print. Like I can create a picture on my computer, but seeing it on I-10 would be awesome. Though I am not skilled enough to design that.
Maybe one.
So Ms. Kat, if somebody told you that they wanted to grow up to be you, what advice would you give them to do that?
Well, I'm gonna say 3 things here. So, and really, I think these all apply to anybody in the arts that wants to have a career in the arts. The first thing is to look at art on a daily basis. Look at, you know, right now we have the internet, we have the world at our fingertips, so we can go and look at, you know, websites and blogs and things like that of artists past and present. So pay attention to what's going on in the world, pay attention to what's going on in the arts culture, and really spend some time, you know, doing your research and seeing what's out there. Because you'll never know what's going to inspire you, and I mean that's what keeps you up to date and keeps you seeing what's trending in the art world. So that's really important for what we do. Another thing I would say is to really be bold with what you try. So take the risk. do the things that nobody else is doing. Like when everybody zigs, you zag, because that's what's going to stand out. So take what's, take what's trendy, pay attention to that, stay on target there, but then make it your own. Make it something different, because as long as you're following the crowd, you're really not going to be pushing the envelope, and that's what you're going to notice, is that people want to see something different. And then the third thing I would say is learn to motivate yourself, because there are going to be days that you feel really creative and inspired, and you can just put together a million designs or paintings or whatever it is you want to do. And then there's days that you don't. There's going to be days that you really are just not, you've heard of writer's block. There's also creator's block. So sometimes the creativity just isn't coming. But that does not change the fact that you have a deadline. And so you still have to get the work done. So learn what are the things that inspire you, that motivate you, and that help you to get in the right frame of mind to create, and learn to use those to your advantage.
That sounds like some awesome advice. And you can't see this, but in my office, I have a painting that we had somebody do, and it literally says "Be bold." So I'm glad that I took your advice before I got it. I think that's awesome. So hopefully we can inspire through your conversation that you took part of your busy day from, and inspire some future artists that hopefully you'll see around town, either through art or through graphic design and things like that. I want to thank you again today for recording this with us, and hopefully you have a great rest of your day.
Thank you so much. You too.